So here's a sad truth. I don't really like McFarlane Toys figures. When they first got the DC license, I was kind of like, alright, I can maybe work with this. And they made a couple of good things. I had to do quite a lot with those things to make them good. But as time has progressed and I've gotten used to it, they're just so big and I don't like working with them. The parts are really annoying to work with and they don't really work with anything else I want in a display. Like, even though they don't really interact, I still kind of want my DC stuff to be the same scale as my Marvel Legends stuff and all my other figures. So yeah, I don't really like DC figures anymore, unfortunately. However, there was one figure that I picked up quite recently, and it's this Batman the Animated Series inspired Mr. Freeze repaint. And the sculpt is alright. It's more like the paint scheme that's very evocative of the animated series, so I decided to pick him up. And yeah, he's pretty cool. There are a couple of things I want to do to him though, because he looks a bit plain. Starting off with the head, I don't know, it's a little bit bland. So I think I'm going to try to spruce up the head a little bit. Then I want to give all the armor maybe a little bit of a paint wash and some dry brushing maybe. But the biggest thing I want to start off with is... you see the nose? I think the nose is very stumpy and kind of just plain looking. So in the animated series, Mr. Freeze has a very distinct hook nose. And I want to try to resculpt the nose so it kind of looks more like that. So I got some Milliput here, superfine white. And we're just going to try our best at sculpting a nose. Well, we're going to add to the nose. And I don't really know how we're going to do this. I guess we start off with just removing the head. And now we try to blend it to the actual sculpt. So we'll worry about the shape after we kind of smooth out the sides and just get it integrated into the sculpt. Like, obviously it's not complete yet, but you see this profile? This is exactly what I'm talking about. So while waiting for the clay to dry, I kind of got tired of this ice effect being attached to the nozzle. So I just decided to just rip it out, literally. And it turns out that it's like a separate molded piece, and it's just glued in here. So another baffling decision by McFarlane Toys. Why, if it's a separate piece and it has a peg, why not just make it removable from the start? Why glue the bloody thing in? Okay, so I resculpted the nose till I got to here, and I'm actually really happy with how it looks. It's not a perfect transition in terms of color though, so I'm gonna have to repaint it. The paint is going to show if there are any major imperfections. I don't really care too much about imperfections because it's mostly gonna be under the glass dome anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna at least see where I am, and it actually looks pretty good. I can't really see any major little grooves or crevices in the nose, so I'm just using some Vallejo off-white. And I'm also gonna do something about the lips. I don't really like how dark the lips are, so I'm going to brush some of this off-white over the lips. I guess we'll do a little bit of a dry brush over the entire thing just to bring some of that consistency to the skin. Gonna have to wait for this to dry there. Alright, so we're done with painting the nose, and I think this profile view is just so much better. I really like how this nose turned out. So now we're going to do a little bit more work on the face, and for that I'm mainly talking about the eyebrows. So Mr. Freeze in Batman TAS has some very exaggerated eyebrows, and I can't really do that, but I found this sketch from Raphael Grassetti, who he's a really famous illustrator. He did work for God of War and stuff like that, and he did some realistic interpretations of the TAS designs, and he actually drew in the eyebrows, and I'm going going to try to replicate that. So I'm not going to do like big fat lines. I'm going to kind of do it like hair by hair and try to get like a kind of natural shading for the goggles. And if you think this looks a little bit too strong right now, it's because it is, and I'm going to fix that up with some white, and you'll see what I mean. Okay, so now with some white, we're going to tone down kind of like the harshness of this. So we don't have a lot of paint on the brush, and we're just gonna kind of gently go over the edges like this. And it creates like this nice, almost like kind of fade. I think I want to make this angle a little bit harsher, so... Okay, so I did end up making the eyebrows a little bit more exaggerated than originally planned, but I think it looks fine. It's going to be under the dome anyway. Now I'm going in with some gray because I want to do some light shading, like especially under here, because I want everything to pop a little bit more under the dome. So what I'm doing is I'm basically just kind of dry brushing some gray in the, like under these cheekbones here. You can see here I'm trying to make it just pop a little bit more. Got a little bit too heavy-handed here. One of my favorite designs of Mr. Freeze was in Batman Beyond. In the Mr. Freeze episode when he comes back and he gets his new armor and you just see kind of like a very basic silhouette of his head and it's all like Mike Mignola styled. It just looked so good. Okay, so head is mostly finished. I might go in and revise some things later on, but I figured I would just try to detail the body with some Nuln oil. So this is shade paint. You just put some on your shade brush, and then you kind of just slather it all over the figure, and this beautiful shade paint is going to go into the recesses. Okay, so the wash is dry now, and I want to do a little bit of detail work. No, I'm not going to go too crazy on it. I'm just going to paint these little details here. So like I feel like this one could be red, and then like this one I guess could be blue. And these two lights can be yellow. And you see, this just adds a whole lot more color to the entire thing immediately. So, I actually looked at the Batman Beyond model, and he has a kind of similar looking belt. So, I figured I'm just gonna do what they did there and paint this bit silver. So here is old Victor completed, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think the nose just adds so much to it with this like kind of a little bit more like Hook-esque nose. And as cartoony as kind of like the idea of the eyebrows are, I think they help him just look more, I don't know, like I really like that kind of like menacing look he's got in the animated series rather than the super just like round eyes of the original. Like I think the eyebrows gives him a whole lot of more personality. And then of course the black wash on the silver parts here just adds quite a lot of detail. Like it brings the detail out, and the little smidges of paint on this tiny control panel. Kind of annoying thing is that you do have to remove the dome every time you want to move the head, but it's not like terrible. Like I think this looks really good. I really think the shading under the dome turned out really good too. So yeah, Mr. Freeze. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in a bit.
This is how I'll always remember you. Surrounded by winter, forever young, forever beautiful. Rest well, my love. The monster who took you from me will soon learn that revenge is a dish best served cold. Remember, there might be some momentary discomfort.